Hello, this is Real World Audio, and we are arriving to the last stage of the power conditioning line filtering series. And what you see now is an MIT Z strip. So before we have seen already several different line conditioner types. One of them being the Qualcomm based traditional and typical line conditioners, which is most of the line conditioners on the market, that hugely upgraded and modified I'm using for my projection and Blu-ray. And there's also the capacitor bank that you can use to correct power factor. And there's the Richard Gray unit that is absolutely vital when you have DC on your line voltage. That depends on your neighborhood, and you use them wisely when needed. If you use it when not needed, then it's just going to make the sound worse. And also for the isolation transformer that I recommend to use for your sources, for your source devices which do not require high current, but they are very sensitive to EMI, RFI, and all kinds of junk riding on the power fine beyond that 120 volts AC or 240 or whatever you have in your country. And my experience is that the line level devices, so that's your digital source or your phono stage, they are way more sensitive to problems in your line, to noise, to line pollution than the amplifier. So the power amplifier is the most resilient to those things because it is at the last step of amplification. So your DAC and your phono stage, they are at the first step of amplification, and they work with very tiny signals. And when you add a big noise from your AC line, then it's going to be a huge difference. When you add the same amount of noise to your power amplifier, it's going to make a fraction of the difference compared to what it does with your DAC or streamer or phono stage. So here now we are looking at this Z-strip. And why is it called Z-strip? It's called Z because Z, that's the letter for the power factor, and one of these functions is to correct the power factor. So if it corrects the power factor, why am I not running my amplifier and my phono stage and DAC and so on from this? Because it does not just correct the power factor, it uses active EMI RFI filtering as well. So basically on the inside, it looks like there's a computer with lots of capacitors and microchips and all sorts of stuff inside, and it makes intelligent decisions. It monitors everything, and it's an active thing. And if you have like a beginner or intermediate system that uses a lot of error correction itself, then using this for your line devices will be probably an upgrade. But if you have a very revealing system, then to me it makes the sound mechanical and grainy and takes it in a way that's a lot of people like that sort of sound, and it's something that you get in many showrooms. It's like an ultra studio sound. And if you are familiar with the sound of MIT cables, then using the Z-strip or other MIT power conditioning devices will take the sound even more to the extreme, to that direction. And there's loads of people who love that sound. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that sound. If you want that kind of sonic signature, then plug your streamer, plug your DAC into it. I would not recommend your power amp because it doesn't have the current capacity to supply power amp. But MIT has bigger units where you can plug your power amp, but actually into that bigger unit maybe I would plug a preamp or a DAC, but not the power amp. Even that is too small. in my opinion, an experience for a power amp, and the maximum I would put is a DAC, and that big MIT unit is humongous. It's huge. It's like as big as the Richard Gray unit. It's as big as like a big power amp, but not as heavy. The Richard Gray is heavy AF. The Z unit, MIT unit, is not as heavy because it doesn't have heavy big transformers inside. So anyway, very long story, I try to cut it very short, is that I'm using this to plug in my laptop, to plug in my computer, to plug in this light that is helping me to shoot this video. Like the USB extender is plugged into it, as you see, computer, monitor, everything. And believe it or not, this is a blast. This makes a humongous impact this way, because MIT Gear really is built to work with computers, to filter out like high frequency noise that computers make, and even though this line is feeding to a line in my living room, and it's a separate line from the dedicated lines that my stereo uses, but it still, if I plug in the computers in the living room, and Nelly also has another computer, I have it on another Z-strip. Actually, I will install it into the other Z-strip. It wasn't on it yet. This is something that I recently started to implement, and it makes an absolute enormous difference in the sound quality, how your stereo systems sound, because the computers and all these junkies, they inject an amazing amount of noise into the sound. And of course, in the beginning, if you do not have any power conditioning available for your stereo system, and maybe it's not a refined system, then I don't recommend you to start with this solution and burn a lot of money buying a Z-strip for your computer. This is not your first priority. Your first priority is to take care of your stereo system. And if you are blighted with your computers, then just pull your computer out of your grid while you are listening to it, and you will be fine. And if you are too lazy to disconnect it every time you want to listen to music, well, I am not so lazy, and I haven't been lazy. That's what I've been doing until quite recently. But to tell the truth, when I work on my computer at home, I also listen to music in the background, and sooner or later you really hit a limit when your battery goes down and you have to put it back to charge. So this way you can leave it on charge all the time, and it's not going to interact with your stereo. It will work as if you have no computer in your house. So that's why I'm saying this is the last bit of the power conditioning puzzle. So now this concludes my power conditioning series. So you have seen what my power conditioning scheme is, which I have, it took me about 20 years to develop this. I have tried like a huge number of power conditioners. I would say I did not try that many number of power conditioners in my system, but my mentor Stu, he carried a bunch of these. He tried out an infinite number, basically all the power conditioners that were available until the time he died. And he not just tried it, but modified all of them and trying all sorts of mods. And I was there to witness him do these things and to learn from what he has done. So basically what you are seeing, what I use is the progression of many decades of experimentation, what to use. And there's one really big thing that I have not touched upon, that's power regenerators. So those are those devices which take the line AC, convert it to DC, and convert it back to AC. And my mentor, he did not get into those things. I did not get into those things either, partially because like 15-20 years ago, those things were either unavailable or unobtainium, like at that high price. Even today they are available, but at very, very high price. Most people don't even want to pay as much money for their entire stereo gear as a power regenerator cost. But anyway, I have not started playing around with them because I do not feel the need to do that, because I think that I have my power system, my power conditioning system really down to a T. And actually, in time I will really show you, because I do have power regenerators, but they are not new. They are a little bit older, and I have to check them out and see if like bring them up to present date. And I have not opened them up to see what's inside and how much money do they require for an overhaul. But those are freaking enormously huge monsters, and I'm just dreading to drag them into the living room. And it's really funny because usually that type of thing has a very low wife acceptance factor, but my second half, my other half, my better half, Nelly, she has absolutely zero issues with those ugly looking military units. And then I told her, like, I'm going to rebuild them and make them like a wooden faceplate to make nicer. And she said, why, what's wrong with them? They are okay as they are now. I was just holding my head. Oh my god, this is like every audiophile's dream, to have a spouse, wife, girlfriend, whatnot, boyfriend, whatever, who really is willing to go in the looks department further than you think even yourself would go. And really, I have practically zero limitations on what the cap is on how extensive my stereo gear can be before I got shut down or my ideas get a hard stop. So I hope this is helpful for everyone, and this is a last piece of the puzzle. If you want a natural sound, because my aim is to build a system that presents a sound where violin sounds the most natural, because for all people natural sound means different things. So for example, for some it might mean to sound like what you heard at a recording studio. So when I hear that, for me, my hair stands up on the back of my neck, because studio sound is really messed up already. Under natural sound, I mean when I bring out a guitar, when I bring out a violin, or I take out my drums and start playing on them, or I go to the symphony to listen to a symphonic orchestra, or to go to an evening where they play Baroque music, like just a quartet, or someone who plays his piano. That's natural music for me. Or hearing someone sing unamplified, or going to a jazz club where they have completely unamplified performance, and the bass player uses an upright bass, and it's not amplified by a solid state amp or a whatnot amplifier. It's 100% natural. That is natural sound for me. So my power conditioning scheme will work for you if the goal is that for you. If your idea is a studio sound, like a highly sculpted, mechanical, very controlled, tight, dead, quiet aspect, then you want to expand more on the Z-Strip and use this not just for your computers but also for your stereo gear, and try to use as high current capacity ones as possible for best results. So no matter what your persuasion is, I hope you have found information that will help you along your journey. Please like, subscribe, condition your power if you can, and if you do not have the means for it, just be aware of these things, aware what happens when it's holiday season, what happens when you plug your computer in and you still have some leverage, you can still do things about things without extra units. So thank you, please like, subscribe, tell your friends, bye bye.